We 23 female. 25 male went to a party in 14th floor apartment last night. BF jumped from one balcony to another. It scared me so bad I honestly don't see a future with him after 3 years of a good relationship. I don't even know where to begin with this because I haven't slept. I'm exhausted and every time I close my eyes I just see what he did and see his hands missing the rails and him falling 14 stories. I feel like I need an anti-anxiety pill or something. I also need to say my boyfriend is not a dumb man. He got his MBA when he was 20 and started a business and has basically just aced the MCATs because he wants to become an osteopathic physician. We have been together for 3 years and plan on spending the rest of our lives together. I have a massive fear of heights. Even going to the party last night was hard for me. I made him promise that if I got uncomfortable we could leave. He agreed. I was actually talking with some of the wives' girlfriends and noticed my boyfriend and his best friend on the balcony with their shirts off. I knew he'd had way too much to drink at that point because, like alcohol suddenly reminds him he has nice abs and he likes to show off. I went as close to sliding glass door as I could handle and said he was scaring me, acting crazy, and I really wanted him to come inside. You may not even believe this next part because I wouldn't if someone were telling me this story. He said something like if I thought that was crazy I should see this. He got up on the railing and jumped onto the balcony of the next apartment over. We were 14 stories up and though I couldn't see it, the next balcony was 5-10 feet away and he just jumped like it was nothing. Like all the guys the balcony cheered and I got weak in my knees and felt faint and just sat on the floor. He came through the regular door smiling and high-fixing like an idiot frat boy. He came up to try and hug me and I told him to not touch me and got up to leave the party. My friend came with me because she said I really did not look well and we got an Uber to my house. I was so stressed I had to have the Uber pull over so I could throw up. He has texted me how sorry he is and that he really didn't mean to scare me and he'll never do it again, but I don't know if I can get over this. I was so scared. And I just keep playing it through my head the vision of his hand slipping off that rail and watching him fall. He's fine and he skis, surfs, goes mountain biking and climbing, all of which scare me enough as it is, but I had never even thought he is capable of something so stupid. Can I forgive him for this? Is there a future with someone who would do this? What if he have kids? Is taking dumb risks something he passes on to them? Would love some advice here. I have had 2 friends die doing stupid shit like this. I had one of my college roommates at a training party in Florida. He was the sales manager. The rooms were crowded and people were jumping from balcony to balcony. There was an air conditioner in between and people were putting their foot on it as a hot point. It gave way. He fell 7 stories. He left behind a wife and 2 kids. Another was in Chicago. The guy was on a date with a girl. He reached above his door where he kept a key and could not find it. He was drunk. They found the key there later. The apartment was old and had double windows that swing in. He had done it multiple times before. There was a window in the common hallway. He would open it, grab the gutter and swing over to a window in his apartment and kick it. The windows would open and he would swing in. Only this time they didn't open. Laugh. Fear. Laugh. And he fell 5 stories to his death. Not too much later I had another friend die while out drinking, trying to cross over to another platform on the L when he realized he was on one going the wrong direction. He touched the 3rd rail. He was toast. Your boyfriend is 25. He thinks he will live forever. Eventually, he will have a friend die in a stupid manner and figure it out. It could be a motorcycle accident or something more common. But he will wake up. Tell him your fears. Unless he's the one that dies. Like an idiot frat boy. Well, let's be real for a second. That's what he is. Honestly, it sounds like he got egged on by how scared OP was. To me that's the worst part. Same. Just because he's very well educated and book smart does not mean he's not a complete stupid idiot. He's 25 and takes his shirt off at parties when he gets drunk. That yells immaturity. Jumping balconies from 14 floors up while drunk. Really stupid stuff to be playing around with. About 15-ish years ago I was at a convention at a hotel with a friend. We had been at a party by the pool and had been drinking most of the night. My friend said, "Someone's coming," and then we watched as some guy fell from his 6th floor balcony and plop onto the cement next to the pool with a sound I wish I could forget. Op's boyfriend is a dunking idiot. He pulls some drunken act like that and can leave his girlfriend with way worse trauma than she always suffers. If I heard someone I loved fall and make that sound, I couldn't live after that. Wait, your friend said someone's coming as someone was falling to their death. That is such an odd thing to say in that situation. We were laying on these lounge chairs next to the pool. He was laying on his back and looking up. He saw the guy fall. That made me look up to see what he was talking about. He was right. The guy landed right near us. I tried doing CPR until the paramedics showed up. My dad had been an instructor for the sheriff's department. But the guy was going to die. There wasn't anything anyone could do. My God, what a crazy situation. I couldn't imagine that. Book smart doesn't mean street smart. Holy crap, he could have died. That's the funny thing, is he's actually very street smart. I'm not. I'm a very naive and privileged middle class girl. He can go into almost any situation and just make friends and relate to people no matter what race they are, where they are from, what language that speak. It's actually amazing to see, because I'm such the opposite. That's not what street smart is. Sounds like he's sociable though, which is a great benefit but won't keep him out of danger. I would have a conversation with him and say that seeing that made you realize that that sort of behavior is a hard deal breaker. And be honest and tell him it made you seriously consider ending the relationship. There should not be second chances after this. Though, he made you a promise that he broke with little consideration when put in a pretty low pressure situation. It makes me wonder how little the peer pressure needs to be for this guy to ignore your needs completely and circle jerk with frat boys doing stupid stunts. It's also very concerning that anyone would behave like that when drunk, and would probably make me a bit nervous about going to social events with alcohol with my partner. So I believe your reaction is completely proportionate and justified. Honestly. The way OP speaks of her phobia, the fear she felt and of her physical reaction, and how it still affects her a day later sounds like trauma. He would have to understand the gravity of what he inflicted on her to be granted a second chance with that relationship. Edit. Thank you for the silver. Stranger. He would have to understand what gravity would inflict upon him first. A. He probably feels invincible like a lot of 25-yo do. Especially those into sports like climbing and skiing. He doesn't have to realize the danger he puts himself into to understand how damaging it was for OP to witness his actions. The danger itself isn't exactly what triggered OP. It's the fact that it was associated to heights, which he knew about beforehand. Sounds like the young male syndrome. Higher risk taking is particularly characteristic for males between 15 and 35 years, the age when intrasexual competition is the strongest. This fitness maximizing strategy, however, also has negative consequences. Previous data revealed that males have a significantly higher tendency to die in accidents. The very drive that partially attracts her to him is also probably gonna end their relationship. Oh, how the turntables. Well, I wouldn't say it's attracting her in this case, right? But she could have just as easily been attracted to similar traits. It sounds like he's pretty adventurous with his hobbies and didn't really consider that there could be a more extreme end to all of this. So, story here. Guy I knew, kind of a shitty person, but brilliant, was teaching basic biology to medical students. He himself was a PhD holding biologist. They were doing something with cane toads for a class. Everyone in the class was told multiple times that cane toads are poisonous. All of their parts are poison. Treat the level of toxicity with utmost respect. One of the med students was dared to eat some cane toad's eggs for 5. So they did, resulting in nearly dying and having to have a rather lengthy stay in hospital, costing the healthcare system thousands of dollars to keep her alive. But they did win their 5 bet. All this to say, being smart does not mean that he won't take other potentially life-ending or altering risks. You need to think back on his past behavior and whether or not you trust his promises to not do this again. Because you don't need to be constantly wondering if he's going to be alive at the end of the day. That's a brutal world to be in. Living like that. Speaking from experience here, your mental well-being comes first. Before anyone replies that some creatures have found ways to safely eat cane toads. We aren't those creatures. I would 100% trust a biologist who holds a PhD in the area if they told me cane toads are poisonous. I also trust this particular person's opinion even though they're a shitty person. God, do people really say that? That is moronic. Bamboo lemurs are practically immune to cyanide, but nobody is saying we should start eating bitter almonds. I just want to know how a 20-yo gets a master's degree. He got his GED when he was 15, then enrolled in a combined BS-MBA program that's supposed to take 5 years, and he did it in a little over 3. Let me start this with a story. In high school I was in a healthcare shadowing class, where we got to wear scrubs and follow around different people who worked in healthcare for 2 class periods a day. One of the rotation I did was with the Free Lab. A young man in his late 20s came in for a regular brain screening with a giant dent in his head. He had decided in college to do exactly what your boyfriend did. Get drunk and jump balconies. Except he missed. Flattened part of his skull and his parents kept him on life support waiting for him to miraculously come back. It had been at least 6-8 years he'd been in a coma. Your boyfriend was seriously lucky this time. Do you want to see what happens the next time he rolls the dice? Now I feel faint again. This is Ray stuff of my nightmares. For good reason. Your feelings are valid. You were literally traumatized by your boyfriend's actions. This is not an exaggeration. You need to unpack your feelings before you can decide what to do with your relationship. It might be staying together. It might not be. Only you can make that decision. This reminds me of the arc in The Office when Dwight killed Sprinkles. He meant no harm. But it ruined the relationship for a long time even though she wanted to fix it. Except you're a real person and none of what your boyfriend did was funny even if no one else was worried. I can't tell you what to do, but my late boyfriend had some dangerous thrill-seeking tendencies when he was drinking. Backflipping in a 6-foot pool. Speeding in a 4-wheeler. Although probably not as dangerous as what you described. It didn't happen often but enough that I remember having to tell him to take care of himself because I wouldn't be okay if something happened to him. For him, I don't think he saw it as that big of a deal or that dangerous. He was just having a good time. Well, he was having a good time with his friend one evening and drove his 4-wheeler into a tree and died. This was the man that was planning a future with me. Talking about the kids we were gonna have just the day before. And then took a risk yet again. This time with horrendous consequences. It wrecked my life and I am still in therapy 2 years later trying to rebuild what life I have left. I will never be the same. And not in the I've become a better person from my struggles way. I am never going to be the same in the I've been unlucky enough to live through everyone's worst nightmare kind of way. Part of me can't even blame him for what I went though. As I knew he had risky thrill-seeking tendencies when drinking and I still chose to be with him. While it was a soulmate kind of love that I will remember and treasure for the rest of my life. There's a big part of me that would go back in time and never date him to not have had to endure what I endured these last 2 years. If this kind of thrill-seeking behavior is a pattern, I think you have a tough choice to make. As nothing you say will likely be able to change that part of his personality. Lots of people here saying you're unreasonable to consider breaking up with him over this. And that a good talk will just make him realize you care so much about him that he should change his personality and value his life more than the dumb thrill-seeking behaviors. The thing is, you shouldn't have to say that or have a conversation where you have to ask the person you want to spend your life with to not do dumb things that might get them killed. That's not normal and I will never again date anyone that puts their life in jeopardy in any way. Drunk or not. Hit like. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to our channel.